So on behalf of upGrad, again, wishing all of you a very good afternoon. I am Praneeth. I am the head of undergraduate admissions for upGrad abroad. Uh, Thank you so much for taking our time on a weekend, on a Saturday afternoon for us. While we know that the COVID lockdown restrictions are here, so you are bound at your homes. So we thought we'll make some good use of that time. At upGrad, primarily our vision has always been to get the top 1% or the top 2% universities, some of the most internationalized, globally renowned, acclaimed universities in the world, to make it more to make them more accessible for you students in India, to make them more affordable for you, to open up more career frontiers for you, to ensure that you can actually democratize where you're coming from and what ideally you want to be learning, which is what makes us launch the ESIGELEC School of Engineering for you. And we've tried to democratize it. We've tried to make engineering in France, which is one of the major frontiers, major vocations in France. It's been a hub from the Eiffel Tower to some of the more engineering marvels that France has given to the world. In terms of both hard and soft terms, France has been a hotspot for engineering. We've got Vidya and Cyril with us. Cyril is the program director and the director of IR for ESIGELEC School of Engineering, while Vidya is serving as the head of South Asia in the admissions vertical. Vidya and Cyril are going to take you through the partnership. While this is going on a broader context, we're trying to make sure that BCA, BSc students from India with a 3-year degree can actually shift to a proper engineering career in France. And so we've developed a bridge program to make sure that regardless of which background you come from, every career across the world is an option for you. So Vidya and Cyril, wishing you a very warm welcome. And the stage is yours.
Thank you very much. Will I be able to share my presentation?
Absolutely. I'll just give you the host link. Meanwhile, requesting everybody that please keep your Q&A rolling. We'd love to take your questions. I'm just going to give the co-host rights to Vidya. Done.
Perfect. So we shall start. So do you have access to my screen now? Perfect. Perfect. So good afternoon to everyone who's joining us. Always a pleasure talking to students, and I think we at ESIGELEC are particularly excited about this program. It's a first. It hasn't been tried in India at all, so we are as excited as all the students who are looking for this opportunity. So I'm going to run you through the presentation. Mr. Cyril Marteau, who's the program director and the director of international relations of ESIGELEC, will also pitch in whenever he thinks it's necessary. Keep your questions coming, because we understand it's something new and you could be a little what would I say, puzzled about a few aspects of the program. Please feel free to ask whatever questions you have. We'd be more than happy to answer them. So, like we told you, this is a program designed for students with a 3-year bachelor's in BCA, that's Bachelor of Computer Applications, or a BSc in electronics or computer science, or any IT kind of stream. This bridge program that upGrad will be conducting will give you access to our engineering degree in France. Okay, so the credits that you will need to satisfy the requirements for ESIGELEC will be handled by upGrad. Okay, we'll give you all the other important details as we go along. So there you are. This is as far as the master's degree in France goes. It's a 2-year program. After you have completed the bridge module, you go to France for 2 years. You have 2 specializations on offer, one in electronic embedded systems and the other in software engineering and digital transformation. The attractive part of this program is the fact that the first 3 semesters that you do in France are academic in nature, but the last semester is an internship which you will do either in France or in Europe or anywhere else in the world, and it's a paid internship. Okay, we have factored in the internship into the program, obviously with the intention of making you more industry ready, so that your transition to industry becomes easier. The other thing that makes this an attractive proposition is the fact that you get access to the Schengen space with just one visa. I always keep telling students, about 20 years back, if I had to visit 10 countries in Europe, I'd have had to go and knock at 10 different consulate doors. Whereas that has changed dramatically today with one visa stamp. The entire Schengen space opens up for you. So I think I'm almost envious of students today because this is a possibility, and you can actually travel so many countries and grow even as an individual, not just academically. Obviously, one thing that's very true of France, that it is the cultural capital of the world. It's a very welcoming country, and it's very open to reaching out to other cultures. So when you go there, the French are normally very curious about you. They want to know about you. So it becomes a very good learning ground even for you as an individual. France is a very active country on the world stage, whether it is for technology, whether it is for science, whether it is in politics, whether it in any aspect today, France is a voice that is heard in the world. So it is a country that would be well worth taking seriously for your academics. There you are. Those are the possibilities that you are likely to access by virtue of doing this degree. One thing I'd like to say here, that by virtue of doing the master's degree in France, you will not only get access to the work world, you can also do research. So those of you who after doing the 3-year program have realized that engineering is really what you want to pursue, this is a great chance for you.
And we could add, Vidya, that those opportunities are open not only in France, but also in all the countries of the Schengen space, because we have, and that's something which happens every year, many students who are graduated from our master's programs and will decide to stay a little bit longer in Europe to get a job, to get a work experience before, for some of them, coming back to their own country after this experience.
Absolutely. Many students find this experience very enriching also because they have an academic experience in France, but they also have the prospect of doing their internship or working later on elsewhere in Europe or elsewhere in the world. So you do become a world citizen, so to speak, by thanks to these many experiences that you can go through. So coming to nitty gritty, these are probably the more practical questions that you are likely to have. First of all, you would need a 3-year bachelor's degree in the fields that I specified earlier. We have a self-recorded interview, which is part of our admissions process. So you won't need an IELTS test. Your language will be evaluated on the basis of the interview that you will record on the application portal. Okay, so it's a fairly simple, straightforward eligibility criteria. There's always the question of scholarships. So we have an early bird. When you accept the offer of admission, you get €1,000 off. And you also get, for those of you who may have a 70 plus at the undergraduate level, you also get a €2,500 waiver on the tuition fees for the master's program. Another important practical aspect, the calendar for the bridge program is 31st March to the 30th of June. And the master's program will start in the following September of the same year. Okay. The application deadline will be 15th of March. The fee structure is there for you. it's 2 lakhs for the upGrad module. That's the bridge program. And I think there's a mistake. It's 15,450 euros for the master's program. It's 1,000 euros less. We'll just come back to that. Okay. So the application process itself is extremely simple. You will have to log on, create an account on our application portal like you're used to doing these days. You fill out all the details, you upload all the documents that you will require. And the last section is a self-recorded video interview. So you yourself, the questions will come up in a random order and you answer them and you submit your application. Okay, we will give you an answer in a week from then. You will know whether or not you have been accepted. Okay. Like I was just saying, our application portal doesn't limit itself only to the application process or to the admission process. We will give you as much assistance that we can for the visa application. We will help you with the accommodation. We will help you with the airport pickup. And of course, the orientation week, which will help you settle into the country. Okay, because it's a new experience for many. So we understand that you will need that assistance. So we try and take you to, we try and handhold to the extent possible. So like I was just saying, everything is on one portal. So there you are. You know, going to a new country, obviously you will have to, you know, take on life. It's not just about academics, like I was saying. You will meet students from many countries. We also have a very good laboratory called EFSEM. You can see it on the slide in the second row. You can go and check them out online and the kind of work that they do. The training that you get in 2 years will prepare you for the work world and for engineering. And we have a huge network of ESIGELEC alumni. We are doing everything that we can to connect you with alumni, because they are always a source of assistance on many fronts. They are an interesting community for you to know. Anything you'd like to add, Cyril, before I continue?
Yes, you nearly said everything, Vidya, but I would just like to add that, in fact, the programs, the master's programs in France are known to be really professional-oriented and practical-oriented. That's also one of the reasons why France is chosen by many international students in the world. They want to get their professional background through the master's programs they will follow in France. To be concrete, in every course, the students practice. They practice all the time in every course to be sure that the knowledge they are given by the professors, the faculty, are well understood, and that at the end they are ready to get a job. Moreover, you have to do a final internship, as it was said before, of 4 to 6 months, and you work as a young engineer, as a fresh engineer in the real world, to get also a work experience, which will be very useful later when you have to find a job in France or in any other country in Europe or in the world. So one more point that we have to add is that the academic faculty of the school includes not only permanent professors from the school, but also visiting professors coming from different countries in the world, not only from Europe, but from the rest of the world. And the advantage for you is that you will be given knowledge by professors from different countries, which who will bring their own methodology of teaching that they use in their own university, but based on the engineering model. So that is really an international experience that you can live if you decide to choose France as your destination for higher education.
Yeah, I completely agree. It's a point that I missed. When I talk to students who have finished their program at ESIGELEC, the one point that comes up all the time is the fact that they've appreciated the practical approach to the teaching. So it's a very hands-on experience as far as the engineering aspect goes. So there you are. Whenever people talk of France, they're always talking about lifestyle and perfume and, food and fashion. But what we would like you to know is that France goes way beyond all of that. It's a very important country where technology is concerned. And like I just said, Europe is going to be well within your reach once you start studying in France. And about the city of Rouen, where we are situated, we are about 2 hours away from Paris by road. So it's a distinct advantage because you're close to what is known to be the most visited city in the world, which is Paris. You will be close by, but you won't be spending as much if you were to live in Paris. So you have that dual advantage. So the city of Rouen itself, for having visited the city a few times myself, it's an utterly charming city. It has a lot to offer by way of its history, by way of its people. There's a lot to do around the place. It's an experience not limited to the tourist side of France only. It's a real life experience that I'm quite sure that you will appreciate. So there you have it. That was our presentation for you. I'm sure we'll have questions. We'll probably take the questions now.
Sure. Thanks, Vidya. I think the slide deck.
Can I take off the presentation?
Sure.
Is
sure,
that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
So we can re-refer to it whenever there is a question. And I'm sure the slide deck was extremely insightful for everybody here. Just wanted to sort of give you a larger context. Normally, whenever we get ourselves into a BCA, BSc degree, which is a 3-year degree, it gets, and when you're looking at studying abroad, while this is another context that you can't really easily transition or smoothly, seamlessly transition from a BCA, BSc to an engineering master's. The other thing is that with a 3-year degree, it's going to be extremely difficult for you to get into Canadian schools or US schools for a master's because they all need a 4-year degree. So we thought, how do we actually let you access the engineering careers or the field of engineering as well? Like Vidya mentioned, Europe is the hotspot of that field, whether it comes to research and development or tech or military equipment or all of these fields. Germany, France are the world leaders for it. Like Cyril was mentioning, once you graduate out of a French engineering school, you have access to entire European job market. You're not just limited or confined to one part of the world, but you have the entire Europe, accessible to you. The other part that I wanted to bring to your attention was Europe, especially for tech and engineering, is a very thriving market. It's a robust economy. It's not just sort of defined or streamlined by one country alone, but so many that play a huge instrumental part. So what you're getting into is not just a paradigm shift in the path that you were looking at, and now what we're offering you, you're simply moving from one completely research centric intensive field to a more applied sciences field, but you're also opening up doors to a thriving vocational career that you can pursue after this. I'll also ask Vidya, so she had mentioned the career progressions you can be looking at with a Masters of Software Engineering and Digital Transformation and a Masters of Electronic Embedded Systems. We're also going to be looking at how much are you spending and what's coming back at you. I think for Indian students, with their one of the major things to
factor.
Yes, the return on investment. And with 2 lakhs of so to cover up for a whole absence of engineering as a core component of your BSc BCA degree, and to give you that extra 1 year of education, we're trying to accelerate that in 3 months. For 2 lakhs, you're additionally spending about 12.5 to 13 lakhs to transition and get yourself a Master of Engineering degree. With that 15 lakhs in all, what comes back at you with that? What are the paying jobs like? How much work visa do they get? And how do they sort of look at the prospects after that?
Yeah. So Like you said, Praneeth, it's a question that comes to us all the time, and rightfully, because people are spending money for this, and I think it's only justified that they ask the question. So basically, a student who graduates and gets a job fresh out of graduating earns about 3,000 euros approximately per month, which is good money. A euro is trading today at around 85 rupees to the euro. So it's a good amount of money. What you shouldn't forget is also the fact that during the internship also they are paid. And they're paid approximately 1,000 euros a month. Okay, so they start seeing the returns while they're in the program itself. If they get a full-time job, they're paid, like I said, about 3,000 euros a month. The post-study visa is 2 years. So in case for some reason you don't find an internship or whatever it is, you can stay back for 2 years. Okay, have I answered your question, Praneeth?
Absolutely. So the post-study work visa is going to be for 2 years after the completion of the course.
Yes.
And with them spending about 15,500 euros for 2 years, an average salary for them is going to be 3,000 euros a month. Plus, like Cyril mentioned, the 4 months of internship, that's also paid with about 1,000 euros a month, right? So they start earning pretty early in their degree. Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Sorry, please.
Sorry to interrupt you, Praneeth, just to add one point about what I've said before, Vidya. The job market is very dynamic in France, especially for engineers. France is a country like India, which likes a lot engineering. We need many engineers. We train many engineers, but never enough. And that's why international engineers who are trained in France are really welcome. And if they want to stay, if they convince about their motivation, they are offered many great job opportunities, for sure. And that's also the reason why schools of engineering like us try to develop bridge program with universities or partners like upGrad in India. Our objective is to try to attract new international engineers to participate to the development of our economy and technology. So that is to be known. After that, perhaps we should have spoken a little bit about the French language, because there are probably some questions about the French language. For sure, the program is totally taught in English, and you don't have to speak French to do engineering studies in France. But during the master course, you will be offered the opportunity to discover a little bit the French language. So for some of you who would like to be better in international languages, and especially French, which is spoken in more than 40 countries all over the world, there is this opportunity. And I sincerely want to tell you, because that is something which is also important for me, because we speak a lot sometimes about the French language, that for me, the image I have from an engineer is not only someone who is good at technology. The engineer is also someone who will be able to manage a project, to work with people, customers coming from different countries all over the world. And engineers have to communicate. And having the chance to discover new international languages, to be honest with you, that's really a plus. So you have to keep this in mind. An international language is not a barrier, must not be seen as a barrier, but really as a great opportunity.
Absolutely. And I think we're also moving from a world where we used to look at higher education in only 3 or 4 specific parts of the world, Australia, Canada, US, to, a setup where we're trying to see which field do I want to pursue and which is the most thriving part in the world for that specific field. So we're transitioning. I think with schools like yours, opening the doors for flexibility, opening the doors for students from different backgrounds, I think we're doing a lot more good for the world, good for those, like you mentioned, who are good engineering prospects for for Europe in general to actually study certain focus subjects and then actually get into the job market and serve. We had a learner here, Tanveer, asking, can you explain the program in detail? So I'll let Vidya explain. I'll just give you a broad layout. So you complete your BSA. May I?
Yeah.
So all the learners here, if you are enrolled in BSc or BCA, BSc in Computer Science, IT, or Electronics, or BCA, Bachelor of Computer Applications. After your 3-year degree is complete, you do a bridge course with us for 3 months. That acts as a foundational course for you to transition. The 3-month bridge course is online on upgrad.com. We will facilitate that for you. It will be co-delivered, jointly delivered between the faculty from Vidya and Cyril's school called ESIGELEC School of Engineering in France and upGrad's faculty. Post that, you transition to France for 2 years to complete your Masters of Engineering. There are 2 options for it. One is a Masters in Software Engineering and Digital Transformation, which is the most emergent field in the world right now, greatly required. And second is the Masters of Electronic Embedded Systems. Yes. And so then there are 2 scholarships that you get. One is the early bird fee waiver of €1,000. And if you scored 70% and above in your graduation, then you get an additional scholarship or a waiver of €2,500. The minimum eligibility criteria for anything to happen for you guys is at least 60% in your graduation. I would give it over to Vidya now to explain if I missed out anything.
No, you've said everything, Praneeth. You've said everything.
So we've got one more question for you, Vidya. I am currently enrolled in MCA course.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which finished. Yeah. So can I study MS? I think he meant Masters of Engineering. After my course is completed, how can upGrad help me? So Mr. Jadhav, we can only ask Vidya to answer that for you if it is specifically for their school. If not, then you may have to write to me. So we're doing it in the best interest of everybody on this call.
Yeah.
And then there's one more say, tell us more about the School of Engineering and its history. So I think Cyril or Vidya can take that up for us.
Yeah. Cyril, would you like to start? I'll take it from there. We can't hear you, Cyril. We can't hear you.
So perhaps just some words about the history of the school, and then I will let you go on, Vidya, for the next question.
Yeah.
In fact, ESIGELEC is a graduate school of engineering, which was created and founded in 1901. So we celebrated last year our 120th anniversary, and we are very proud of that. It's one of the top graduate school of engineering in France, and the degrees we deliver are fully accredited by the French Ministry of Higher Education and Research. And our domain of expertise in France is focused on smart and connected systems. And that's why we offer in English, because we have other ones fully taught in French. 2 master courses fully taught in English, one in software engineering and digital transformation, and the other one, as it was said before by Praneeth, in electronic and embedded systems. The particularity of our school is that we have more than 40% of international students among our students, and they come from different countries, from 40 countries across the world. And the particularity they have is that they don't come to us just for an exchange program of 2 to 3 months. They come to us to stay there several years, for some of them more than 5 years, to get a degree, a master's degree or a degree in engineering provided by ESIGELEC. That's also why, one of the reasons why some students choose ESIGELEC to do their higher education, because they know that they will study really in an international environment with students coming from different countries, and also among the staff, as I told you before, we have professors, visiting professors coming from different universities from North America, from Europe, from Asia, some of them from Africa. So that contributes to help you to live in an international environment, and it prepares you to your future job, because you will also work in an international environment when you will become engineer. What I would like to tell you too, that we have a strong activity of research. We have a laboratory for research called ESIM, which works on electronic and embedded systems for industry. And all our professors are involved in research. It means what? It means that the teachers you have in front of you knows really what are the technologies which are mainly used in industry today. So you are trained with the most modern and new technologies in industry today. So that is a short overview of the history and the expertise of the school, and I hope I have answered your question.
Absolutely. I think a 120-year-old institution should not actually be obliged to talk much about the history that it brings with itself. I think it's a thriving school. It has a lot of legacy that backs it. I think France is the hotspot anyway, so these standards are world class for research and applied sciences anyway. I let Vidya talk about it and sort of explain further about how globally acclaimed the school is.
Yeah, so like Mr. Cyril Marteau was telling you, internationally, ESIGELEC has always had a very strong international perspective to its outlook, as far as education goes. The very fact that we have offices outside of France means that students are interested in our programs. We are there to help them out. As far as the ranking goes, we in the ranking exercises that are conducted in France, we are in the first 30 on various criteria. Okay, we can give you all, students who are interested can always contact me and I'll be happy to give them all that information. What is important is that a student who's looking at these areas of study would do well to spend a little time to see what France does in these areas. It's a country that is very well respected in both the areas of specialization that we are offering. Like I was also saying, our alumni are also willing to answer these questions. So you don't really have to only take, what we are saying to you today. We'll connect you to our alumni. They will answer questions that you may rightfully have at this stage. Any other specific questions, Praneet? Because I'm actually
yes, Vidya.
Yeah.
We have two of them.
Yeah.
One is for Cyril and you both, that can they actually move to a Masters of Engineering degree from BSc Mathematics or BSc Physics?
Yeah,
is
that
it
was
doable?
a question. Yeah, that was a question, Cyril. Yeah, that was a question that I didn't have the answer for. So Cyril, what is your, there are some students who have a mathematics BSc and a physics BSc. Do you think they will be able to cope?
No, in Napoli, that would not be possible because you need absolutely to have a background in engineering or technology to be eligible to enter this bridge program. We are really oriented on engineering studies.
Yeah.
So that's why
So
we ask for an engineering background.
Electronics and IT, computer science.
I think just to give a little bit more context here, for you to even pursue the foundational program as well, of course, the master's is a huge chunk of what you're doing. I think you need to come from a relevant background. And so because we're majoring in software engineering and majoring in electronics, and if you don't come from that background, it will be difficult for you to ease into that. It gets so it gets difficult for you to ease into that rigor of the program. And we never want a scenario where you're not able to cope up with the specifics of the program, with the detailed layout of what you're going to be learning, which is why Cyril mentioned that it's not going to be much doable. So Vidya?
Praneet,
Yes,
could I
ma'am.
join you in about 10 minutes? I'm having a
Sure, ma'am.
technical issue. 10 minutes?
Sure, ma'am. Sure, ma'am.
Okay.
Sure, ma'am.
Okay,
So
I'll be
we
back.
have Cyril with us who will take care. So
Pranit,
Cyril, the next one. Please, please, please. Sorry.
What you said, Pranit, is totally true. In fact, we said before that students with a background in mathematics or physics are not eligible. It's not because we don't like you. It's because we want just to be sure that the students will be accepted in the bridge program. We'll have a maximum of chances to succeed. We could say, okay, no problem, we will accept you, and then we will see if it works or not. That's not our way of working. The students who will be accepted and will be eligible for this program, but the students will have the corresponding background in engineering and science that we require.
Absolutely, I think point taken. So the next question for you, Cyril, was, so I had a couple of questions even from the registration form of the webinar, Cyril. I'll just tell you. So one was, I have a BSc in biotech. So like you said, as long as it's not IT, electronics, computer science, it won't make sense, right? This degree is valid in India. So I will just ask Cyril. So would a 2-year Masters of Engineering in France would give them 120 ECTS, Cyril?
True. In fact, the 2-year master's programs correspond to 120 ECTS credits. As it was said before during the presentation, the program, the master's program we have, leads to a national master's degree, which is fully accredited by the French Ministry of Higher Education and Research. And this master's degree offers you the possibility to work not only in France, but also in many other countries in the world in which the French education system is recognized. So there is no problem at all regarding this point. And moreover, and I think that it is something which was also said before, this master's degree doesn't offer you only the possibility to get a job as an engineer, but it offers you the possibility, if you want to go on with research studies after being graduated. That is something which is fully possible.
Absolutely. There was one more doubt, Cyril. So I'm just sort of trying to clear it out for Himanshu. So with the foundational program, you complete enough credits for you to be entering the ESIGELEC School of Engineering as a Masters of Engineering, student, which means that your credits or your academic credentials are in parallel to somebody who did a Bachelor of Engineering in India. We help you complete the bridge subjects or the foundational credits that you need. So, just to sort of rerun it through you also, Cyril, the learner's question is, if for any job in France, I need a proper 4-year BTech degree, and I am doing a Masters of Engineering after a BSc, am I still going to be considered for the job?
That's a very good question. That's a very good question, and I will try to give you a very good answer.
Sure.
In France, in fact, the way engineers are recruited is a little bit different from the rest of the world. In fact, to be engineer in France, you need absolutely to have a master's degree. It means that with a bachelor's degree in France, that's not possible to be engineer. So for the industry, your BCA or BSc, BEng, BTech will not be taken into account. What will be important for industry? That you have a master's degree. If you have the master's degree, you are eligible to get for a position as an engineer, whatever is your previous academic background before.
Absolutely. Right. So just for everybody to make sense of what Cyril was saying, is that when you're entering the job market in engineering in France, your master's degree is taken into perspective. It is considered, regardless of which bachelor background you're coming from. If it's BEng, if it's BSc, if it's BCA, if it's BTech, that has little role to play. If you're asking about very specific jobs in India, we're not really sure about how that matches up. I can still, so like Cyril mentioned, as long as you do a MEng, a Masters of Engineering degree from the School of Engineering in France, it is recognized in multiple parts of the world as a 120 ECTS European credit transfer system. And it is recognized as a full Masters of Engineering degree, which means, your employability is in more than just France. For very specific roles, I don't think we can answer right now, but you can always drop an email. I can check with the school's faculty. What is the period of master's degree accredited by the French ministry?
Alors, the master's degree is accredited in France for each time a maximum period of 5 years. It means that every 5 years, we are visited by a specific commission from the French Ministry of Higher Education, which evaluates the faculty, the buildings, the equipments, the methodology of teaching. And then if they think that it corresponds to the requirements of the French state, you are accredited again for a new period, a new maximum period of 5 years. Regarding our situation, we were visited by the French Ministry of Higher Education and Research for our master's degree last year, in 2021. So it means that the degree now will be accredited for 5 more years till 226. That's the way it works in France.
Right. So the next question is the curriculum of the bridge course. So there's engineering. I think I will just run them through it on a slideshow instead. Mm-hmm. Give me 1 second.
But before you share I will let you share, Pranit, the curriculum of the bridge program. But for us, the bridge program, the objective of the bridge program is to provide the students with more knowledge in sciences, technical sciences, which would be missing in the BCA or BCS program. For sure, the 2-year master courses in France is more adapted for people having a BEng and a BTech. It doesn't mean that BCA, people having a BCA or a BSc can't do and don't have the required background to follow well a master program in France. The bridge program is just there to help you to be more prepared to this 2-year master course. And that's the reason why in this 3 months bridge program, you have the courses in relation with maths for engineering, physics for engineering, control and systems, communication, that are knowledge in which we want to improve your skills before arriving to France. And the objective of the school was just to be sure that you have all the chances with this big program to succeed at the end and to be graduated.
Absolutely. I think that is also what one learner has just asked you, Cyril, that what is the acceptance rate at the EG School of Engineering after the bridge program is done?
In fact, the selection is not done after, but before the bridge program.
So I just mentioned that the bridge program is jointly delivered by the ESIGELEC School of Engineering and upGrad. And so it's 100% acceptance provided you finish through the modules the way you have to, the way you should be. And the filtration or the selection happens prior to the program. You have to have 60%. And we give you the offer letter as soon as you enroll for the bridge program. I'm just going to share my screen for Tanveer So the program curriculum has engineering mathematics, it has engineering physics, it has for electromagnetism, it has engineering physics for heat transfer, basic electrical engineering, signals and systems, control systems, different seminars, bibliographical studies, which is more of academic referencing, more academic skills, writing, referencing, more integrity related skills, and then communication skills, which are very important. So this is how the bridge program 3 months look like, what you're going to that you're going to be doing with upGrad. And whatever what I can do, Tanveer, for you is just drop me an email. I will have this sent to you anyway, right? We'll take the next question, Cyril, for you. Just give me a second, please. You've been so patient. Just give me a second. I just. Also, I think in terms of the financial standpoint, it makes a lot of sense. So you're spending about 15 lakhs on a degree, and the first job that comes to you almost gives you a 200% return on it in the first year itself. Another 4,000 euros minimum you earn during the internship, right? So, and you're doing all of this in the hotspot of engineering in the world. France, Germany are the leaders in defense industry, R&D, technology, you name it. And it's not been like that for over 10 years. It's been like that for over 100 years now. You know, the sort of things that France has been giving the world. I mean, defense or R&D or technology. Yes, I will just share my email address. Cyril, why I was mentioning this to our Indian learner base is that we're always trying to be taking decisions from a standpoint where the monetary investment makes sense, right? And so it makes sense for both the standpoints. I think the fact that you cover up on the 100% cost of what you're spending in the first year, rather what comes back to you on the double of what you spend. But also, I think the entire European job market is your place then to be exercising your skills, to be getting a job. Tanveer says, are there any finance options? So yes, we normally help you with the education loan as well. Like Cyril's team mentioned, we help you with the visa, we help you with any assistance, support, as well as upGrad's team extends to you the loan services as well. Is the 2 years master's degree recognized by the French ministry? Yes, Cyril mentioned the 2-year master's degree at ESIGELEC school is recognized by the French Ministry of Higher Education. I'd let him talk more about this.
That's true. And regarding perhaps the financial point, which was the question before, you know, if you had the tuition fees and also the cost of life, because you have to live in France for 2 years, so you have to have the cost of life in your budget. In fact, if you easily calculate the budget you need in total, you will see that if you stay 1 more year after being graduated in France, and if you get a job as a young engineer, you will reimburse in 1 year all what you have invested before to become engineer. And it could be even more attractive if you had the scholarships, which are provided by the school, and also the financial help from the French state, because, you know, in France, for all the students, and there is no need to apply for, you receive from the French state a financial help to finance 1 part of your accommodation. It's automatic. About one third of the cost of your accommodation is fully reimbursed every month by the French state. It doesn't depend on your nationality. It's true for the French students for sure, but also for all international students who study in France. And I just want to explain you one thing, which is for us very important. When you go and study in other countries in the world, in the US, Canada, Australia, when you are a foreigner, most of the time you pay more. In France, you don't pay more, and you receive the same advantages than the other local French students. So that is something you have absolutely to keep in mind, because that's also, I would say, a proof of what France does for all international students who decide to choose France as a destination for their higher education.
Just to reaffirm what you said, Cyril, is that while they do a 2-year degree of Masters of Engineering with your school, until when or what part of the accommodation is sponsored?
1/3.
1/3 of the
1/3.
accommodation is sponsored by the French government. Is that so?
Exactly.
Wonderful. Wow. I don't think any part of the world would do. I mean, actually has that practice being run by the government, right? No, right?
That's true. That's true. I think that the
1/3.
situation is really unique in the world.
Absolutely, Cyril. Wow. So there are two things that we want to know from you, Cyril. One is French language as a requirement for getting a job in French companies, and second is what do the living costs in France look like? And would you also recommend? Would you also sort of throw light on the fact that would there be part-time work, Cyril, which is an option?
Alors, there are 3 questions, in fact, regarding.
Sorry.
There are 3 questions in your question. In fact, regarding the cost of life, regarding the cost of life in France.
Yes.
You know, you need approximately, I would say, 650 euros per month to live in France every month. And the 650 euros include accommodation, but also insurances, transport, food. For sure, it depends on the life you want to have in France. When I tell you 650 euros, it's for a student who have a standard life in France. For sure, if you want to go every day to the restaurant, if you want to go to the theater, the cinema, every day, every weekend, you will not have time because you have to study at school. But you know what I mean? It would cost a little bit more. Regarding the second question about, could you just repeat, Pranit, the second question to be sure?
Absolutely. So the second thing was, which I had asked you, that is part-time work a possibility for them in France?
It's possible to do, yes, it's possible to do part-time job in France, but not more than 20 hours per week. And it's paid around 7 or 8 euros per hour. But to be honest with you, I don't encourage a lot, and we don't encourage a lot students to do 20 hours of part-time job per week, because you have to study at school. What is important, and the reason why you are in France, is to study and to get your master's degree. And it's really difficult and dangerous to do both studies and part-time job. The advice I could give to you, instead of looking for a part-time job, it's better to use your time to find a very good internship at the end of the course, which will be very well paid, that you will be able to put on your CV. That's not the case for a part-time job. That's not a proof of a work experience in France. So that is an advice I would give to you. But after that, you are free to tell me that it's your decision, and you are free to try to look for a part-time job if you want to.
Right, sure, got that. And the third one was, is French language a prerequisite for getting a job in French companies after the completion of their academics?
Perhaps I could let Vidya, who is now back and who was in the past a French professor, perhaps I will let you answer this question, Vidya, if you want to.
Yeah, I'm sorry to have, for that small hitch, I had I don't know what it was, but I just went off. Anyway, yeah, so about the French language, it's definitely not something that you need for the program. You will be able to cope very well for the master's program. If you're looking at job opportunities in France, let's break this down to something very simple, okay? When we speak of the French language, are we expecting you to write poetry or prose or literature in French? No, we're just talking about a working knowledge of the language that will anyway be provided during the program. For the 2 years that you are in France, you will learn French. So it's not something that you should be worried about. What I also like to add is the fact that Indians are by nature polyglots. You know, just ask in the audience how many people speak more than one language. You know, we have a huge advantage when it comes to language learning. So you shouldn't dramatize it more than what it really is. If you have to make contact with another human being, just reaching out with the basics of French will take you through. Okay, just look at it the other way. Imagine if Mr. Cyril Marteau were to speak Hindi. You know, he says namaste. You know, it changes the dynamics completely. So we're really talking about a working knowledge of the language. Do not for a minute think that you should be able to rattle off in French or to do your exams in French. None of that. We're just, even the language competencies that we're going to provide are at a basic level, just so that you feel your way around in the country. And of course, if you're someone who likes the language, you can take that further also. Because, you know, if you do end up getting a CV with a foreign language on it, it makes for an extremely attractive CV, irrespective of the field of your work. You know, a CV with more than one foreign language or one foreign language is a very good CV.
Absolutely. And topping up, I think French is widely spoken in the world, and it will only do good to you if you happen to know basic communication in French. I think to navigate life, I think any person from India, like Vidya mentioned, would not really struggle to learn. I think we really grasp language very sooner than you realize, actually, in a more mindful manner. So it shouldn't be.
Yeah, if I may add, Praneet, there are so many people who have no academic training, who have not been to school in India, but who speak many languages. You know, you look at it like that. You look at your vegetable vendor in the morning.
Absolutely.
He will rattle off in 4 languages. You know,
Absolutely.
Really the average Indian is a gifted soul when it comes to languages, you know.
Absolutely. So Vidya, we've got one very specific question. I'll give you a context. There is this AMIE examination, right? It is an engineering examination for 2 years, which is equivalent to a BEng or a BTech degree. There's a student, Himanshu Verma, who wants to know that will it be accepted as bachelor's? So AMIE is a 2-year-long examination that normally is accepted by the central government. But I still want to know from you, would that do?
Yeah, so what I would suggest is if he can be in touch with upGrad and send us his credentials, we'll go through it and come back with a firm answer.
Would you mean a detailed mark sheets and what has he studied throughout those 2 years?
Ideally, yes. Okay.
Got that. Done. So it's more or less a top up to a diploma, but it's 10 plus 5. So it corresponds to 3 years of additional.
Yeah. As far as I'm concerned, as an Indian, I'm familiar with the AMIE, but just for Cyril's, what would I say, for him to be reassured, if he could just take a look at it, then very quickly we can come back with an answer.
Right. And also, Cyril, in terms of Canada and in terms of the US, if there's a case where the student transitions, is the 120 ECTS degree widely recognized across the world?
Yes, we have, that's what we said before during the presentation. We have every year students who are graduated at the master's level and who decide to start their professional career in another country, in Canada, in the US, or in Germany, in Europe, in other countries in the world. There is a process which depends on the country in which you are, which offer you the possibility to validate the degree you got from France in this country. So that's I will repeat again that the degree is fully recruited by the French Ministry of Higher Education and Research. So it is fully recognized by other countries, but you have to respect a specific process to make it recognized in the country in which you want to work.
If
Absolutely,
I can just add,
Please.
so sometimes let's look at it like this. Let's say you are a student who has done this program and you are looking at Canada or the US. Sometimes students have not felt the need to come back to us to ask for any, additional documentation or anything, because the company or the lab that they're going to is already familiar. In case they are not, the embassies will be able to provide you information, and we are always there. Okay. And to add one more thing, we have students who are pursuing their jobs and their research in these countries. So that should give
Which
you
solves
an
the
idea.
purpose.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
The last question by Tanveer is there, so how does the visa process look like? As in, how much financial commitment has to be shown upfront? So normally there's this GIC, a guaranteed investment thing that you have to do for Canada. So just shed some light on that, Vidya.
Yeah, this again is something that will make France some country you would want to think about, because it's a fairly straightforward visa application process. Okay, so what does the Consulate of France want to know? They want to know that you have enough to fund your education in terms of tuition fees, and that you have enough funds for your everyday expenses. That's all they want. They're not going to overdo the financials and everything. So what they need, the process is that you first have an academic interview with the Campus France office, which is the official representative in India. What would I say? They are the official agency for the promotion of French higher education. So they will review your academics. You then go to the VFS with your file. Now, in the file, you will have your academics that have already been approved. Apart from that, you will need your accommodation. We will give you that support. You will need your proof of finance. In the proof of finance, you have to show us, or not show us, but show the consulate that you can afford the fees and the living expenses. How do you show it? You can take a bank loan, for which you will need the bank loan sanction letter. If you're not taking a bank loan, you will have to, now say your parents are funding your education, you will need an affidavit from them saying they are funding your education and 3 months of their bank statements. Okay. Now, many students ask, do I have to show that lump sum while I'm applying? No, you just need to show that, okay, this is what I have in the bank and this is what comes in regularly into the family income, whoever is sponsoring you. Okay, so it's an extremely straightforward process. The consulate just needs to know that once you're in France, you won't be out there in the cold without financial support, just for your basics. Okay.
So there is no specific investment like in Germany, you have to make an account and XYZ.
No.
Okay, got that.
No.
There's a question with there. But prior to that, I just want you to repeat one. So the first step is that you get your academic documents vetted by the
Campus France. Campus France is the official agency for the French higher education in India.
Okay.
In fact, they have offices all over the world. So I work very closely with them. Mm-hmm. So in fact, I myself am an ex-Campus France employee. So they will what would I say, review the academics, mm-hmm. and then they issue an NOC. And the NOC is one of the documents that you put in your file.
And how long does this entire thing take for both the steps, academic and visa?
Yeah, so it can, from the time you contact Campus France, it should take not more than 3 weeks to a month for the entire process.
Great, Vidya. I think next question, we've got two of them. One is a gap in studies accepted? Now I'm just going to sort of make it easier for Vidya to answer. A gap in studies, which can be explained. So you completed your bachelor's and then you've been working and you have a work experience. That is one question. Second is you're not doing anything and your BSc finished like 3 years ago. So Vidya, could you answer both of these? So BSc plus work and without work.
Yeah. So it depends on how much work experience you have. If you have too much of work experience, even if ESIGELEC is okay with it, at the visa stage, they might wonder why you are going back to academics after such a long gap. If you're able to justify it, good. Okay, because sometimes I have students coming and saying, I have 15 years of work experience, can I apply? Even if the profile is absolutely a good match for us in terms of what it has, at the visa application stage, they might question the need to go back to academics after so much of experience. So as long as the individual is able to justify it, it's fine. Okay, that was one question. The other question was a student who has finished his BSc and
not working, has not been doing much at all.
Okay, so again, it comes back to the same thing. If you are able to fulfill the criteria, I mean, do the bridge program successfully, if you are able to articulate to the campus France office why you took the break, what is a good thing today is that many of these consulates and offices are used to the idea of students who've taken a break. You know, a few years ago, a break was something that shocked people. You know, why would you just let everything come to a grinding halt? But today, people are coming to terms with that idea. In fact, I think it's a very good thing. If somebody has taken a break, it's probably to stop and question themselves, which is a good thing. You know, so it has become quite common to see gap years at any stage.
Right, Vidya. I think there's one more question that I'd love for you to take. Give me a second, please. So we've got the cost of studying abroad is done already. Cyril has mentioned the living expenses plus the academic fee was already mentioned. Will I get a master's degree in engineering after BCA? Yes. Am I a BSc math student? Cyril has answered. Do we need local language mandatory? No, no IELTS, no French to pursue. The medium of instruction is going to be English. And Vidya mentioned that French language training or it is taught during the course of studies. Yes.
It's just 4 hours a week. It's not a very big burden at all. Yeah.
Got that. And in which branch can we do MEng after bachelor's? Is there any restriction for choosing different branch than in bachelor's? No, Himanshu, you can do an MEng in this thing.
Software engineering and digital transformation and electronic embedded systems. Those are the areas for which we are offering the masters.
So which means, Himanshu, I'd like to sort of re-ask this to Vidya. So he means, how does where I am coming from, as in if I'm an electronics grad or if I'm a computer science grad, am I still restricted to picking one of the two, or can I still go into any of the two?
You can, okay, that's a good question. We do have students who come from a computer science background who are interested in electronics, and the opposite is also true. So as long as the student is able to cope, we should be fine with it. The student should do it with his eyes wide open, because it's my firm belief that you can mess up your choice at a bachelor's level, but to mess up at a master's level is doubly troublesome for you. You know, at least after a bachelor's, you should know what you like, or at least what you don't like, you know?
Absolutely.
In fact,
please.
Yes, if I just can add, Pranit, something, it is possible, but it's the way the French education system is structured. It's possible with a background which is not closely in relation with the topic you will study at the master's level. It's possible to do it all the same. And if you have a look at the curriculum of our two-year master course in France, you will see that the semester number one, includes courses and topics whose objective is to give the knowledge and scientific knowledge, technological knowledge that the students need then to follow the other courses at semester 2 and semester 3. So in fact, to resume the situation, the semester 1 in France has been designed to adapt to people having a background in engineering at the BCA, BCS level, BHB Tech, to adapt to what will be required later.
Got that. So just to reaffirm and repeat what Cyril is mentioning is that, the French education setup has been built in that manner, that you are doing certain modules that when you're looking at the employability or the career progression, they are already covered for you to not suffer from any lag when it comes to where you are coming from. So most of the modules that you need for possible progression or employability are already covered. Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Hope I got that right with the answer.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I had completed BCA in 2018. Should I go for masters? Yes. So like Vidya mentioned, if you can explain, so there is a document called Statement of Purpose for Visa. We will help you with it. We will understand from you first, what have you been doing? We'll help you articulate it in a way, and then we can put it up for the
bridge
you
program,
had mentioned. No. So you had mentioned the entire thing. The one
the
who
campus France, the campus France,
and so they take the call. But like Vidya and Cyril have mentioning that once you complete the foundational program, you're at a lot more, a lot better stage to prove your intention, to prove your interest, to prove that you are the right fit to actually enter into that system now. But again, I think, like what they mentioned, what were you doing with that gap and why was the gap important? You still have to explain it, and then we'll help you with it. But 2018 is about 3 years of gap, doable, and we can help you with it. Please write to us. I will get this done, vetted through with Vidya also. After I apply, do I get a job placement while I'm studying abroad? So Vidya and Cyril have been very proactive with this. You get a 4 months internship, Vidya. At what point in the master's degree would that be?
The fourth semester when they are in France.
Okay, so the fourth semester is going to be more or less like a capstone, right, where they do the internship, they define internship, right? And so there, the school will help you, and then so how else does the school help them with the jobs and everything with their?
Okay, so one thing you should know is that in France, since like we told you, the internship is a paid internship. It's not as if you are just, now a lot of times when a student claims that he or she has done an internship, they've basically just sat and watch somebody else work passively. It won't be that kind of internship. You'll actually be dirtying your hands, so to speak. You have to get down and do some work, okay? So now if a company is going to give you an internship, they are risking their project by taking you on. And therefore, they would like a direct interaction with the candidate, whoever is applying for that internship. So to answer your question more directly about what kind of services that we provide to help you, well, we have a placement office that will groom you for the French market, that will provide all the soft skills. We will connect you with our alumni, and the Indian alumni are very proactive. They really want to help their the other Indian students who are coming to us. We will also give you the contact details of companies that are looking for interns. So whatever support services we can provide, we definitely do. And we're always watching what is happening with the students, okay? What we cannot do, and that is important for us to say at this stage, it doesn't work like in India where you have a company that will come and do, campus placement. And what I also like to add is the fact that, yes, companies come to campuses for placement, but you could also be put on the bench for 1 year, without actually being absorbed. So it's not like that at all once you step out of India. You are expected to be extremely proactive. We will be with you and we will do whatever we can, to make sure that this is a decision you're happy with.
Perhaps, Vidya, what you said is totally true. We could also add that in France, the companies prefer recruiting their engineers through the internship. In fact, for a company, that's really a good way to know a lot about you, about your expertise, about your way to adapt in the team. When they have the chance to welcome you for a 6 months internship in their plant, they prefer that way of recruitment compared to, for example, some forum or fairs which are organized in some campus. Okay, you meet students, you speak with them, but you don't know a lot about them. And you are not sure about the choice, if you will do a good choice or not by recruiting the students you meet on the education fair or inside the campus. So try to keep this in mind. If your objective is to get a job in France or in Europe after being graduated, try to choose and to select very well your internship and try to discuss with the company before starting the internship. You could ask questions and say, do you look for somebody after the internship? Do you want to recruit an engineer after the internship or not? If the answer is no, okay, so it's up to you to decide if you want to do your internship or not in this company. But if the answer is yes, and if your plan is to get a job in France, perhaps that's a good way not to be in complex situations to find a job later.
Absolutely. I think Cyril was very comprehensive with that. I think that should be able to help you, that internships are actually going to be the platform for you to leapfrog yourself in the job, and the complete autonomy lies with you. That, you know, if you're more forthright with the employer, if they're willing to recruit full-time, you can choose that internship. That is in fact the biggest platform to jumpstart your 2 years of work experience, at least the initial ones in France. And so the internship should be the most amount of the most significant step that you should be looking forward to. And like Cyril mentioned, you should be very mindful about choosing the right internship, because that may just be your next job, right? I think with that, we did make the most of the time with that. And Cyril, it was an absolute honor and pleasure to be hosting you. I think we added a lot of value. I always believe that every person in this, the meeting room is the right person who was supposed to be here, and who had to and who should have listened to what we were talking about. So I'm sure these ones are the right ones, and they will be a part of the first cohort who Cyril will be greeting at the campus in France very soon. Also, like Vidya mentioned, this fall of 2022, September 2022 is when you start on campus. Yes.
Yes.
Great. Please write to me on my email address. I will get you connected to Vidya if you've got any questions for her. I will get the documents vetted as well. With that said, thank you again, Cyril and Vidya. It was an absolute pleasure.
Thank you, Pranit.
Thank you so much,
Thank you for the time.
Lovely session. Thank you for all the questions, and it was a really lovely session. Looking forward to working with you all. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everybody.
Take care.
Wishing you a great evening.